Well, Advent is upon us already, and not a moment too soon. For just a few days ago was Thanksgiving, and that might have been a time with family and friends. That might have been an extended time, being in close quarters with our family of origin. A time to remember our spiritual tools, to remain in our space of inner peace, and to live and move and have our being from the awareness of our Christ consciousness. Now, I say might have been because I know time with family can be challenging. It can also fill us up. It can remind us that there are people who have known us for so very long, who do love us in their own unique, sometimes contradictory way, and that we love them and we can see beyond any and all differences to behold the divine within them. Now, I know many of you joined Lori here for the Circle of Gratitudes gathering on Thanksgiving that lifted your spirits with the experience and being with people that you love. Well, this is a great time to bring to mind that there is no face that we can ever look upon that God doesn't love dearly, that there is not the essence of God present, not one face. If divine love is everywhere present, that divine love resides within everyone. And there are no exceptions, no exceptions. Now, you've heard me say, unity is a Christmas religion in an Easter world. This is our holiday. Our focus is on the birth and on the revealment of the divine within each one of us. The Christmas story is our story. It is our personal story as well as a religious tradition. And we can choose to identify and to relate with the Christmas story quite differently than our Christian brothers and sisters, and not stray from the message at its very core. Now, we lit the purple Advent candle this morning for faith and hope, for they go in hand. Faith and hope, they can be construed by our more jaded or literal friends as being naive. Or how can you believe in something, have faith in something you cannot see and hold? Well, spiritual faith is quite different from blind faith. Blind faith holds fast in the face of facts to the contrary by digging deep and ignoring anything that does not fit within that belief system. There's a stubbornness aspect to this kind of believing, a refusal to consider anything differently. Whereas spiritual faith is inclusive and embracing, knowing that facts are temporary, and that truth is eternal, and that God's everywhere present, even in the apparent contradiction of facts. And there's a grace in allowing others to believe in their own way without having our faith or our beliefs threatened or lessened. Well, we're familiar with the letter to the Hebrews. It's chapter 11, verse 1. I love that, 111. Where the author beautifully describes faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. We know that one. Faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. Well, in unity, we contemplate both faith and hope as we spiritually prepare our hearts and our minds for Christmas. And you heard this morning with the lighting of the Advent candle, thinking of that hope faith as a continuum, that hope arises when we glimpse a new possibility. And these glimpses can inspire us to make positive changes. They can motivate us to adopt new ways of thinking and behaving, for it all starts with changing our thoughts, and that then leads to changing our behavior. Now, Mindy Audlin is an author. She's an inspirational speaker. She's a leadership trainer, organizational consultant, retreat facilitator, and she's featured in TED Talks. Well, 20 years ago, Mindy began a movement based upon what if. Now, we tend to think of what ifs as catastrophizing. Oh my goodness, we imagine what could possibly go wrong. What if the car breaks? What if it rains? What if I get sick? And that approach can be helpful if we do more than just fret about them, right? We can be proactive. We can consider alternatives ahead of time. What if the car breaks down on my trip? Perhaps I should have it serviced before I go, have the oil changed, the tires checked, make sure I have a spare. What if it rains for this event? Maybe we do need to have a plan B for bad weather. What if I get sick? Well, perhaps I should up my vitamin C, get more rest, eat more healthily, get more exercise now, preparing for a busy time. Then your mind is free from worry and able to hold a space for things going well. Well, Mindy calls what she does, what if upping? What if it all goes right? That's the name of one of her books. What if it all goes right? Imagine that. Instead of awfulizing when anticipating something, think about everything going better than you could even have planned, better than you could imagine. What if it all goes right? What if the car runs better than it ever has? What if the weather's absolutely perfect? What if I have more energy and feel better than I have in a long time? You can feel the shift in that vibration, pondering the wonderful what ifs rather than fretting the negative possibilities. And you and I have the power to make that shift. These are thoughts, and thoughts have power. And you and I have the power to shift our thoughts, to catch ourselves and to change those thoughts from fretting to consider the good. Now, Mindy continues to present and to lead groups to inspire others to use their imagination for the good, to open up the divine flow of possibilities, and thereby be the recipient of that good. Now, I've met Mindy. She's a Unity minister. Of course she is. She and her good friend, Joe Fatale, whom she met when he was drawn to her work, he's also a well-known author and speaker, continue to be positive forces in our world, supporting the concept of faith, faith in our abilities, faith in the abilities of others, faith in the universe as a benevolent force in our lives. Well, I have absolute faith in the power of my thoughts, even though I can't see them or hold them. I've tested it. I've tried it, I've experienced it. And the same is true for our faith in God, for absolute love, for all that is. We've tested it. We've tried it. We've experienced it. And experiencing the presence of God is called a mystical experience, to have a personal relationship with God. So we are all modern day mystics, every one of us. When I first found Unity almost 25 years ago now, my ministers were the Reverends Alan and Catherine Robotham. And Reverend Alan was from Great Britain, and he had this wonderful, delightful accent. And he was a lovely man, very learned and dedicated to the teachings of Unity. And Reverend Catherine was this gracious Southern woman, strong, educated, loving, a powerful presence. And years before, she had created an affirmation that was uniquely hers. I have an unshakable faith in the perfect outworking of this situation. I have an unshakable faith in the perfect outworking of this situation. Use it, try it. It works every time in every situation. Faith leads to hope. Without it, hope feels empty and without a foundation. But faith, our faith, is that foundation. And they work together, hand in hand. They build upon each other. And so as we enter into these weeks before Christmas, this time of Advent, allow ourselves to be filled with hope. We have faith in the perfect outworking of every situation in our life, every situation. And we may be facing Christmas this year differently than in the past. Perhaps we've lost someone dear to us. Perhaps there's been a conflict, an argument, time, some sort of a distance that has shifted in the relationship. Something has changed and we might feel a missing. Perhaps we won't be sharing this time with everyone we've gathered together with in the past, or perhaps we will. We may be experiencing physical changes since last Christmas, changes with our health, financial changes, geographical changes, all impacting our emotions. And there's been so much loss this year and over the past few months, disasters, conflict, wars, disappointments. Can everybody breathe? For Advent is a time of hope. The word Advent means arrival, the arrival of a notable person or event, a time of great anticipation. And I like to look upon this time as a delicious anticipation, a time of celebrating and remembering the birth of the divine within us and delighting in that remembering and celebrating. So with this concept in our hearts, we feel no lack, no melancholy, no wishing things were different or that we were different. We find ourselves grounded in the moment, present, noticing all the gifts around us, the people, our environment, our home, the nature that greets us outside. We see all the decorations of Christmas with new eyes, telling ourselves that all the beauty, the wonder, the lights are all part of Advent, that delicious anticipation of remembering and recognizing the birth of the Christ consciousness within all people, by whatever name we give this consciousness. With all that is happening, we remind ourselves that all of our spiritual attributes, faith, hope, compassion, peace, zeal, wisdom, imagination, strength, are our spiritual powers, and love is our superpower. And just like the muscles of our bodies, they are each strengthened with use. And so set a time aside for yourself each day to refresh this absolute knowing, to touch and ignite the expressions of the divine, which are part of who you are. They are. Give yourself time to put into practice being the modern day mystic that you are. Time in the silence. No matter how busy this time of the year is, it's even more important now. For faith and hope are cornerstones of our belief that God is good and everywhere present, that the universe is benevolent and rises up to greet us, to support us in our highest good. That all that is universal love exists, is alive and well, and resides in every face we see, every heart that beats. Faith and hope are our teachers. May your heart be touched this morning. May faith and hope be birthed anew within you.